My name is Madison. I am 27 years old and I live in San Diego, California. The music stopped. The clinking of champagne glasses died down. I stood in the center of the ballroom in my wedding dress, staring at the small box in my sister's hands. It was wrapped in white silk with a perfect silver ribbon. She smiled at me, that sweet, innocent smile that had fooled everyone else for 20 years. "It's just a little something for your new life, Madison," she said, stepping closer. I reached out to take it. Suddenly, a large hand grabbed my wrist. It was gentle but firm. My husband, Cole, stepped between us. His face was like stone. He didn't look at my sister, he looked at the box. "Don't touch it," Cole said. His voice was low, cold, and dangerous. Instantly, 6 men at the back tables, his Navy SEAL team, stood up in unison. They didn't say a word, they just watched. The air in the room turned into ice. My sister's smile cracked. She looked confused, then scared. The guests started whispering. They thought this was a disaster. They thought my wedding was ruined. But I didn't pull away, I didn't gasp, I stood perfectly still. My name is Madison. And I knew exactly what was in that box. But before I tell you how everything flipped, like and subscribe, drop a comment, where are you watching from? To understand why my husband had to stop me from opening a simple gift box, you have to understand my sister, Elena. And to understand Elena, you have to understand my place in our family. I was the second child. In some families, being the youngest means you are the baby. You get extra love. You get spoiled. In my family, being the second child just meant I was the backup plan. I was the extra person in the room. Elena was 3 years older than me. From the day she was born, she was the star. My mother used to tell stories about Elena's birth like it was a royal event. She described her golden hair, her bright blue eyes, and her perfect smile. When I was born, the story was shorter. "It was a long labor," my mother would say with a sigh. "And you cried a lot." That was the dynamic. Elena was the joy, I was the work. Growing up, I adored her. I didn't know any better. I was a little girl and she was my big sister. I wanted to be just like her. I followed her around the house. I tried to dress like her. I sat on the floor of her room while she brushed her hair in front of the mirror. "You're lucky I let you in here, Madison," she would say, looking at her own reflection, not at me. "Most big sisters lock their doors." "I know," I would say. "Thank you, Elena." I was grateful for crumbs. Our parents fed this dynamic every single day. It wasn't always loud. It wasn't like they beat me or starved me. It was quieter than that. It was a slow, steady emotional neglect that made me feel invisible. I remember my 10th birthday. I wanted a bicycle. I had asked for one for months. I imagined riding it to school. On the morning of my birthday, I ran downstairs. There was a cake on the table. There were a few wrapped clothes. But there was no bike. My father drank his coffee and didn't look up from his paper. "Happy birthday, Maddie," he mumbled. "We got you those jeans you needed," my mom said, "and a new backpack." I tried to smile. "Thank you," I said. I told myself it was okay. Maybe bikes were too expensive this year. 2 weeks later, it was a random Tuesday. Elena came home from high school. She was crying because she didn't make the cheerleading squad. She threw her bag on the floor and sobbed. "It's not fair," she screamed. "Everyone hates me." My mother rushed to her. My father put down his paper. They hugged her. They shushed her. They promised her it would be okay. The next afternoon, there was a brand new car in the driveway. It was a used convertible, but it was beautiful. Red and shiny. "To cheer you up, princess," my dad said, dangling the keys. Elena squealed. She forgot about cheerleading instantly. She jumped into the car. I stood on the porch, watching. I was 10 years old. I didn't get a bike for my birthday, but she got a car because she had a bad Tuesday. I looked at my mom. "I thought we didn't have money for big gifts," I said softly. My mom frowned at me. Her face got tight. "Don't be jealous, Madison, it's ugly. Your sister is going through a hard time. You should be happy for her." Jealous. That was their favorite word for me. If I cried, I was jealous. If I asked for fairness, I was jealous. If I achieved something and wanted recognition, I was trying to overshadow Elena, which made me jealous. So I learned to shrink. I learned that if I was quiet, I wouldn't get yelled at. I learned that if I didn't ask for anything, I wouldn't be disappointed. I became a ghost in my own house. I focused on my grades. I kept my room clean. I cooked dinner when my mom was too tired after shopping with Elena. I thought that if I was perfect, they would finally see me. They never did. By the time I was in my 20s, I had accepted it. I moved out. I got a job as a graphic designer. I lived a quiet life. I paid my own bills. I didn't ask them for help. I still went to Sunday dinners, though. I sat there and listened to Elena talk about her boyfriends, her modeling gigs, her drama. And then I met Cole. I met him at a coffee shop. It was raining. I had dropped my umbrella and it slid across the floor. He picked it up. When he stood up, he was huge. Tall, broad shoulders, intense eyes. He looked like he could lift a truck. But when he handed me the umbrella, his hands were gentle. "I think you dropped this," he said. We started talking. He was a Navy SEAL. He was serious, focused, and incredibly honest. He didn't play games. He didn't care about drama. He liked that I was quiet. He liked that I was independent. "You're steady, Madison," he told me on our third date. "I need steady. My life is chaos. You are peace." For the first time in my life, someone saw me. He didn't see a shadow, he saw me. I fell in love with him fast, and he fell for me. But I made a mistake. I brought him home to meet my family. I should have known better. I should have kept him secret. But part of me, that stupid, little girl part of me, wanted to show my parents that I had done something good. I wanted to show them that someone loved me. We walked into my parents' house for dinner. Elena was there. When we walked in, Elena was lounging on the sofa, scrolling on her phone. She looked up. Her eyes landed on Cole. I saw the shift happen instantly. Elena sat up straighter. She fixed her hair. She put on that smile, the one that dazzled everyone. "Hi," she purred, walking over to us. She stepped right in front of me, blocking me. She held out her hand to Cole. "I'm Elena, the older sister. The fun one." Cole took her hand briefly and let go. "Cole," he said. Then he stepped back to stand next to me. He put his hand on my lower back. Elena blinked. She wasn't used to men stepping back to stand with me. Dinner was a nightmare. My mother spent the whole time asking Cole about his job, his rank, his medals. And Elena spent the whole time trying to catch his eye. "It must be so hard being away," Elena said, leaning forward, her voice low and husky. "You need a woman who can really support you, someone strong. Madison is, well, she's very fragile. She gets overwhelmed easily." I looked down at my plate. I felt the heat rising in my cheeks. "Actually," Cole said, his voice cutting through the room, "Madison is one of the strongest people I know. She doesn't need to be loud to be strong." The table went silent. My father cleared his throat. Elena's eyes narrowed. She looked at me with cold, sharp hate. That was the moment it changed. Before, I was just the annoyance, the background noise. But now I had something she wanted. I had a man who didn't fall for her charm. And Elena did not like losing. After that dinner, the atmosphere shifted. It wasn't a direct war yet. Elena was too smart for that. She knew Cole was observant. She knew he would protect me if he saw a direct attack. So she used jokes. She used small cuts that were hard to explain to anyone else. It started with the wedding planning. Cole proposed 6 months after we met. He gave me a beautiful ring. It wasn't huge or flashy, but it was perfect. It was vintage with a delicate diamond. I showed my family. "Oh," Elena said, grabbing my hand. She stared at the ring. "It's cute." "I love it," I said. "It's very small, isn't it?" She laughed, looking at our mother. "I mean, for a big tough soldier, I expected something bigger. But I guess he knows you like simple things, Maddie, since you're so plain." "Elena," my dad chuckled. "Stop teasing your sister." "I'm just saying," she threw her hands up. "It suits her, it's quiet, boring, just like Maddie." I pulled my hand back. "I'm happy," I said. "God, you're so sensitive," Elena sighed. "Can't you take a joke? We're just having fun. Don't be such a victim all the time." That was her favorite weapon. If I got upset, I was playing the victim. It made me feel crazy. Was I being sensitive? Was I overreacting? Then she started showing up at our house. I had moved into a small rental house with Cole while we looked for a permanent place. One day, I came home from work, and Elena's car was in the driveway. I walked inside. She was in my kitchen. She was wearing one of Cole's t-shirts. It was huge on her. She had tied it at the waist to make it look sexy. She was cooking something on the stove. "What are you doing here?" I asked, dropping my keys. "Oh, hey sis," she chirped. "Mom gave me the spare key. She said you wouldn't mind. I was just in the neighborhood and thought I'd make dinner for you guys. You work so hard, you look so tired lately." She walked over to me and brushed a stray hair from my face. Her nails were long and sharp. "You look exhausted, Madison. You're letting yourself go a bit, aren't you? You have to be careful. Men like Cole, they have needs. They need a woman who keeps up." My stomach twisted. "Take off my husband's shirt, Elena," she laughed, a high tinkling sound. "Relax, I spilled coffee on my blouse. Cole said it was fine." "Cole is here. He's in the shower," she said, smirking. He just got back from a run. We had a nice chat. I felt sick. I felt like an intruder in my own home. Just then Cole walked into the kitchen. He was dressed in fresh clothes. He looked at Elena, then at me. He walked straight to me and kissed my forehead. "Hey," he said, "your sister broke in." "I didn't break in," Elena giggled. "I used the key." "I didn't give you a key," Cole said flatly. He didn't smile. He didn't look at her legs, even though she was trying very hard to show them off. "Get changed, Elena, then give me the key, and then leave." Elena's face fell. She looked like a child who had been slapped. She stormed into the guest room, changed back into her clothes, and threw the key on the counter. "You're so rude," she spat at me as she left. "I was trying to be nice. I was trying to help you. You're so ungrateful." After she left, I sat on a stool and shook. "She's trying to get in your head," Cole told me. He stood behind me, rubbing my shoulders. "Don't let her." "She's my sister," I whispered. "Why does she hate me?" "Because you're happy," he said. "And she's empty." I wanted to believe him. I wanted to believe she was just sad and empty. But the attacks got worse. She started sending me messages late at night. Ping, I would look at my phone at 11 p.m. "Elena, do you really think he's faithful? Navy SEALs are never faithful, Maddie. Everyone knows that." Ping. "Elena. I saw him talking to a blonde girl at the grocery store today, just looking out for you." Ping. "Elena, men like him don't stay with women like you. You're a stepping stone. He'll get bored. He needs fire, Maddie. You're just water." I didn't show Cole the messages. I was ashamed. I was scared that maybe she was right. Maybe I was too boring. Maybe I wasn't enough. That was the poison she planted. She watered the seeds of my own insecurity. 2 weeks before the wedding, we had a family dinner. It was supposed to be a celebration. My mother had made a roast. We were all sitting around the table. "So," my father said, chewing loudly. "Who is walking you down the aisle, Madison?" "You are, Dad," I said. Right, he said. "And the maid of honor?" "I don't have one," I said. "I'm just having 2 bridesmaids, my friends from college." Elena dropped her fork. It clattered loudly against the china. "Excuse me," she said. Her voice was trembling. "I'm not your maid of honor." "Elena," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. "You've been difficult. I want a peaceful wedding. I don't want drama." "Drama?" She stood up. Tears instantly filled her eyes. Fake tears, I knew them well. "I am your sister. I have been planning this in my head since we were little girls. How can you do this to me? After everything I've done for you." "What have you done for her?" Cole asked. He was cutting his meat, calm and precise. He didn't look up. "I have loved her," Elena screamed. "I have protected her, and she treats me like dirt. She thinks she's better than us now because she snagged a rich husband." "I'm not rich," Cole said. "I'm a soldier." "You stole him," Elena shouted at me. She pointed a manicured finger at my face. "You manipulated him into thinking I'm the bad guy, but he'll see. Everyone will see." My mother stood up and hugged Elena. "Madison, apologize to your sister. Look at her. You've broken her heart." "I won't apologize," I said. I felt my heart hammering in my chest. "It's my wedding. It's a family event," my dad yelled. "Don't be selfish, Madison. Fix this." I looked at them. My father, red-faced and angry. My mother, coddling a grown woman who was faking a tantrum. And Elena, looking at me over my mother's shoulder. She wasn't crying anymore. She was smiling. A tiny, cold smile. "Fine," Elena said, pulling away from Mom. She wiped her dry cheeks. "It's fine. I don't need to be maid of honor. I'll just be a guest. I'll just be a supportive sister." She walked over to me. She leaned down, close to my ear. "I'll get you a gift," she whispered. "A special gift. Since I can't be in the wedding, I'll make sure I leave a mark on it. Don't worry, Maddie, you won't forget it." She pulled back and smiled loudly for everyone else. "I love you, sis. I just want you to be happy." My parents beamed. "See," my mom said, "she's the bigger person. She forgave you." I felt a chill run down my spine. I knew that wasn't forgiveness. It was a threat. But I didn't know how bad it was going to get. I thought she would just wear a white dress to the wedding or spill wine on me. I didn't know she was planning to destroy my entire life. I didn't know about the documents. I didn't know about the burner phone. I didn't know how far she had already gone. But I was about to find out. And the discovery would shatter the last bit of love I had left for my family. It was exactly 1 week before the wedding. The countdown was on. My dress was hanging in the closet, wrapped in plastic. The flowers were ordered. The venue was paid for. I had to go to my parents' house to pick up some old photo albums. My mom said she wanted to make a slideshow for the reception. I didn't want to go, but I wanted to keep the peace. I drove over around 2 p.m. I knew my dad would be at work and my mom would be at her yoga class. I thought the house would be empty. I unlocked the front door. The house was quiet. The air conditioner was humming. I walked into the living room, heading for the bookshelf where the albums were kept. Then I heard a voice. It was coming from the sunroom at the back of the house. It was Elena. I froze. I didn't want to see her. I didn't want another fight about the maid of honor thing. I decided to just grab the albums quickly and leave before she noticed me. But then I heard my name. Madison is clueless, Elena said. She was laughing. It wasn't a nice laugh. It was a cold, hard sound. She thinks she's won. She thinks she's going to ride off into the sunset with her G.I. Joe hero. I stepped closer to the hallway. I knew I shouldn't listen. My heart was pounding in my ears, but I couldn't move. No, Elena said into the phone. The timing is perfect. I'm giving it to her at the reception, right in front of everyone, in front of Cole's entire team, in front of our family. She won't be able to hide it. My stomach dropped. What was she talking about? The box will ruin everything, Elena continued. Her voice dropped lower, full of excitement. It proves everything. It proves she's a fraud. It proves she's in debt. It proves she's been lying to him about who she really is. Cole is a man of honor, right? He hates liars. Once he opens that box, he'll leave her. He'll understand what she really is. I pressed my hand over my mouth to stop myself from gasping. Fraud, debt, lying. I had no debt. I had a credit score of 800. I had never lied to Cole in my life. What was she talking about? Yeah, the documents look real, Elena said. I paid good money for them. And the messages on the burner phone, they are masterpieces. I even planted the GPS data. It looks like she was meeting her ex-boyfriend at a motel every Tuesday while Cole was deployed. My knees went weak. I had to lean against the wall. This wasn't a prank. This wasn't just a sister being mean. This was an attack. She wasn't just trying to embarrass me. She was trying to destroy my marriage before it even started. She was trying to frame me. Okay, I have to go, Elena said. I need to print the last batch of emails. This is going to be the best wedding gift ever. I heard the beep of the call ending. Then, I heard the sound of her footsteps walking toward the kitchen. I panicked. I couldn't let her see me. I slipped into the coat closet near the front door and pulled the door almost shut. I held my breath. Elena walked past the closet. She was humming a wedding march tune. She went into the kitchen and opened the fridge. I waited until I heard the fridge door close, then I slipped out of the closet. I knew I should leave. I should run to the car and drive away. But I needed to know. I needed proof. If I told Cole without proof, it would look like I was crazy. It would look like I was the jealous one. I knew Elena's habits. She was careless. She left things out because she never expected anyone to challenge her. I waited until I heard the shower start upstairs. She was getting ready to go out. I crept toward the sunroom. Her laptop was open on the table. Next to it was a stack of papers and a cheap black smartphone, a burner phone. I walked over to the table. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely pick up the papers. I looked at the first page. It was a loan application. It had my name, my social security number, and my old address. It showed a debt of $50,000 to an offshore gambling site. It was fake. It was a forgery, but it looked terrifyingly real. It had a stamp, a signature that looked exactly like mine. I flipped the page. There were credit card statements showing thousands of dollars spent on luxury bags and jewelry, things I never bought, things I couldn't afford. Then I picked up the phone. It wasn't locked. I opened the messages. There was a thread of texts between Madison and Mark. Mark was my ex-boyfriend from college. I hadn't spoken to him in 5 years. The texts were graphic. They talked about meeting up. They talked about how boring Cole was. They talked about how I was only marrying Cole for his military benefits and his life insurance. Text from Madison. I can't wait until he deploys again so I can come over. He's so stiff. I miss you. Text from Mark. Just keep playing the role, babe. Once you get the marriage certificate, we are set. I felt like I was going to throw up. She had created a whole narrative, a whole fake life. If Cole saw this, if his family saw this, Cole was a suspicious man by nature. It was his job. He was trained to look for threats. If he saw this evidence, even if he loved me, the doubt would be there. It was designed to trigger every insecurity a soldier has, infidelity while deployed, being used for money. I took out my own phone. I took photos of every single document. I took a video of the burner phone, scrolling through the messages to show the timestamps. I took a picture of the laptop screen, which was open to a website called fakedocs.com. I heard the water stop upstairs. I put everything back exactly how it was. I smoothed out the papers. I put the phone back at the specific angle it was lying. I grabbed the photo albums I had come for my alibi and I ran. I got in my car. I didn't put on my seatbelt. I just jammed the keys in the ignition and reversed out of the driveway. I drove 3 blocks away and pulled into a parking lot of a grocery store. I sat there and screamed. I screamed until my throat hurt. I hit the steering wheel. I wasn't sad anymore. I wasn't the little girl who wanted her sister to love her. That girl died in the sunroom. I looked at the photos on my phone. I looked at the proof of her hatred. She wanted war, she wanted to destroy me. Fine, I wiped my tears, I fixed my hair in the rearview mirror. My eyes looked different, they looked harder. I put the car in drive. I wasn't going to my parents. I wasn't going to cry to my mom. I was going to Cole. I drove home. I didn't speed. I drove with absolute precision. My mind was clearing up. It was like a fog had lifted. All the years of confusion, of wondering why I wasn't good enough, it was all gone. It wasn't about me. It was about her. She was a monster. And monsters need to be put down. When I got home, Cole was in the garage working on his truck. He was wearing grease-stained coveralls. He looked up when I walked in. He smiled, but the smile faded instantly when he saw my face. He dropped the wrench. Madison, he didn't ask if I was okay. He knew I wasn't. He walked over to me, wiping his hands on a rag. What happened? Who hurt you? Come inside, I said. My voice was steady. It surprised me. I need to show you something. We went into the kitchen. I sat down at the table. I put my phone in the center. My sister is planning to stop the wedding, I said, but not by objecting. She's planning to frame me for fraud and adultery. Cole didn't blink. He didn't gasp. He pulled a chair out and sat opposite me. Show me. I opened the gallery on my phone. I slid it over to him. He scrolled through the photos of the forged loan documents. He read the credit card statements. He watched the video of the text messages on the burner phone. I watched him. I was terrified that he might believe it, even for a second. I was scared he would ask, is any of this true? But he didn't. He watched the video twice. He zoomed in on the photo of the laptop screen showing the forgery website. Then he set the phone down gently. He looked at me. His eyes were different. Usually his eyes were warm when he looked at me. Now they were black holes. They were the eyes of a man who hunted bad people for a living. She's bringing this to the wedding? He asked. His voice was terrifyingly quiet. Yes, I said. She called it a gift box. She wants to open it in front of your team. She wants to humiliate me publicly. She thinks you'll leave me. Cole stood up. He walked to the window and looked out. He stood there for a long time. The silence stretched out. She made a mistake, Cole said softly. What do we do? I asked. Do we cancel the wedding? Do we uninvite her? If I tell my parents, they'll just deny it. They'll say I'm making it up, or they'll say it's a misunderstanding. Cole turned around. No, we don't cancel. We don't uninvite her. He walked back to the table and leaned down, placing his hands on my shoulders. If we stop her now, she will just try again later, he said. She will keep coming for you. She will keep spreading rumors. We have to end this, Madison, permanently. How? We let her do it, Cole said. I stared at him. What? We let her walk into her own trap, he said. She wants an audience, we'll give her one. But we need to be ready. Cole took out his phone. He made 3 calls. The first call was to a man named David. Dave, I need a favor. I need a forensic accountant and a private investigator. Tonight. Yeah, it's personal. My fiancé is being targeted. I need a full background check on her sister. I need bank records. I need proof of purchase for a burner phone. I need everything. The second call was to his lawyer. Hi, Mr. Henderson. I have a situation involving fraud, identity theft, and defamation. I need you at my wedding reception. Yes, bring the paperwork for a restraining order and a civil suit. Have the police on standby. The third call was to his team leader, a man named Jackson. Jax, Cole said, operation is green for the wedding. No, not a mission. A domestic threat. I need the boys to be sharp. No drinking until the package is secured. The target is the sister. I'll brief you on the details. He hung up and looked at me. It's handled. I felt a wave of relief so strong I almost cried. I wasn't fighting alone anymore. What do? I asked. You do exactly what she expects, Cole said. You play the victim one last time. You act nervous. You act shy. Let her think she's winning. Let her think she has the element of surprise. When she hands you that box, she needs to feel totally safe. The next few days were a blur of acting. We had the rehearsal dinner 2 days later. I wore a pale pink dress. I kept my head down. Elena was in top form. She toasted us with a glass of champagne. "To my baby sister," she said, smiling at the room. "And to Cole, I just hope you two really know each other. Marriage is about total honesty. No secrets, right?" She winked at me. My mother clapped. "Oh, that's so sweet, Elena." Under the table, Cole squeezed my hand. His grip was iron. It was a reminder, hold the line. I looked up at Elena and gave a weak, wobbly smile. "Right," I whispered. She beamed. She saw my fear and she drank it up like wine. She had no idea that 3 tables away, Cole's friend Dave, the private investigator, was recording her speech on his phone. She had no idea that we already had the receipt for the burner phone, tracing it back to her credit card. She had no idea that we had logs from her computer provider showing she accessed the forgery sites. We had everything. We had built a steel cage around her, and she was dancing right into the middle of it. The night before the wedding, Cole and I stayed in separate rooms as per tradition, but he called me before bed. "Are you ready?" he asked. "I'm scared," I admitted. "What if it goes wrong? What if people believe her?" "Look at the facts, Madison," Cole said. "We have the truth. Truth is the only weapon that matters. Tomorrow, you aren't just a bride, you're the judge. And she's about to be sentenced." I hung up the phone and laid in the dark. For 20 years, I had been the victim. I had been the shadow. Tomorrow, I would have to stand in the light. I closed my eyes and imagined the box. The white silk. The silver ribbon. It wasn't a gift, it was a bomb. But my sister forgot one thing about bombs. If you hold onto them for too long, they explode in your own hands. I went to sleep. And for the first time in years, I didn't dream of running away. I dreamed of standing my ground. The wedding ceremony was a blur. I remember saying I do. I remember Cole's hands, warm and steady. But mostly, I remember the feeling in my gut. It was a tight, heavy knot of anticipation. We moved to the reception hall. It was a beautiful venue, an old estate with high ceilings and crystal chandeliers. There were 200 guests. My parents were there, beaming, playing the role of the perfect family. And there was Elena. She wore a dress that was slightly too bright, slightly too low-cut. It was a deep crimson red. In a sea of pastels and suits, she looked like a wound. I watched her from the head table. She was working the room. She moved from table to table, laughing, touching people's arms, whispering. I knew what she was doing. She was planting seeds. She was probably making little comments about me. "Madison looks so nervous, doesn't she? I hope she's ready for this commitment." Every time she looked at me, she smiled. It was a predator's smile. She thought I was the mouse. She didn't know the trap was already set for her. Cole sat next to me. He held my hand under the tablecloth. His grip was firm. "She's getting restless," Cole whispered to me. He wasn't looking at her. He was looking straight ahead, but I knew he saw everything. "She's checked her watch 4 times in the last 10 minutes. Is everyone in position?" I asked softly. "Yes," Cole said. "Jackson is at the back. The lawyer is at table 9, looking like a distant uncle. The investigator is by the bar." I looked at table 4. That was the seal table, 6 men in tuxedos. They weren't drinking. They were laughing and talking, but their eyes were sharp. They were scanning the room. To anyone else, they looked like regular guests. To me, they looked like a wall of protection. Dinner was served. I couldn't eat. I pushed the chicken around my plate. My mother came up to the head table. "Madison, honey, you're not eating," she scolded gently. "You need to keep your energy up. Elena is going to give her toast soon. She's so excited." "I know, Mom," I said. "I'm just overwhelmed." "Well, smile," my mother said. "People are watching." She walked away. "She has no idea," I whispered to Cole. "She chose her side a long time ago," Cole said. "Don't worry about her." Around 8 p.m., the speeches began. The best man gave a funny speech. My maid of honor, my college friend Sarah, gave a sweet speech. Then the DJ announced, "And now, a special presentation from the bride's sister, Elena." The room clapped. Elena stood up. She didn't go to the microphone immediately. Instead, she walked over to a side table where she had left a large bag. She reached in and pulled out the box. My heart stopped. There it was, the white silk box, the silver ribbon. It looked so innocent. It looked like it held a vase or maybe a photo album. But I knew it held my destruction. Elena walked to the center of the dance floor. She held the box with 2 hands. She looked at me. Her eyes were shining with malice. "Madison," she said into the microphone. Her voice was shaky, pretending to be emotional. I know we've had our ups and downs, sisters always do, but I wanted to give you something real today, something that represents the truth. Because without truth, what is marriage? She started walking toward the head table. The room was silent. Everyone was watching her. They thought this was a touching moment. I squeezed Cole's hand. It's time. Cole nodded. He didn't move yet. He waited. He let her get closer. He wanted her to feel like she had won. He wanted her to be right in front of us so there was no escape. Elena reached the steps of the head table. She stood right in front of me. Open it, Maddie, she said softly, holding the box out. I think Cole needs to see this too. I reached out my hands. My fingers trembled. I wasn't acting anymore. I was actually terrified. Not of the box, but of what was about to happen. The explosion was about to start. I touched the silk, and that's when Cole moved. Don't touch it. Cole's voice wasn't loud, but it cut through the room like a knife. He stood up abruptly. His chair scraped loudly against the floor. He stepped between me and Elena. He loomed over her. He was 6'4", a wall of muscle and tuxedo. Elena flinched. She pulled the box back slightly. Excuse me. I said don't touch it, Cole repeated. At that exact second, the SEAL team at table 4 stood up. All 6 of them. It was a synchronized movement. Chairs pushed back. Jackets buttoned. They turned and faced the head table. The guests gasped. The whispering started instantly. What's going on? Someone asked. Is he angry? My mother stood up at her table. Cole, what are you doing? It's just a gift. Cole ignored her. He stared down at Elena. You brought a weapon to my wedding, Cole said to her. Elena laughed. It was a nervous, high-pitched sound. A weapon? Cole, don't be dramatic. It's paper. It's just documents. Important ones. Jackson, Cole called out. Jackson, the team leader, walked onto the dance floor. He moved with a strange, calm speed. He walked right up to Elena. Take the box, Cole ordered. Hey, Elena shouted. This is my property. You can't. Jackson didn't listen. He gently but firmly took the box from her hands. She tried to hold on to it, but he was stronger. He took it and placed it on the head table, right in front of an empty seat. Open it, Cole said, carefully. Jackson pulled the silver ribbon. It fell away. He lifted the lid. The room was dead silent. You could hear the air conditioning humming. Jackson reached in and pulled out a stack of papers. He held them up. Read the first one, Cole said. Jackson looked at the paper. His voice was loud, projecting to the back of the room. It is a loan default notice, Jackson read. Issued to Madison Miller. Amount owed $52,000. Reason. Online gambling debt. The crowd gasped. I heard my mother shriek, Madison. Elena smirked. She crossed her arms. See, she said loud enough for the front tables to hear. I told you, she's a fraud. She's been hiding debt. She's a liar. Cole held up a hand to silence the room. Keep reading, Jackson. Jackson pulled out the next item. A printout of text messages, timestamped 3 months ago. Sender, Madison. Recipient, Mark. Message, I'll be there soon. Cole is on duty, he'll never know. The crowd began to murmur louder. It was a wave of judgment. I saw people looking at me with disgust. My father had his head in his hands. Elena turned to the crowd. She looked triumphant. I'm sorry, she cried out, acting the martyr. I didn't want to do this, but I couldn't let Cole marry a cheater. I had to protect him. She looked at Cole. You're welcome, she said. Cole looked at the papers. Then he looked at me. He didn't look angry, he looked proud. He turned to the crowd. Now, Cole said, let's see what else is in the box. He reached into his own inside pocket. He pulled out a folded piece of paper. Jackson, Cole said, check the metadata on those photos. Jackson picked up the burner phone from the box. He didn't turn it on. Instead, he handed it to the man from the bar, the private investigator, who had just walked up to the table. The investigator plugged a cable into the phone and connected it to a tablet he was holding. He tapped the screen a few times. This phone was purchased at Walmart on 5th Street, the investigator announced. His voice was professional, dry. Date of purchase, October 12th. Credit card used for purchase. He looked up and stared straight at Elena. Elena Miller. Elena's face went white. The smirk vanished. What? She whispered. No. That's someone hacked me. The loan documents, the investigator continued, picking up the paper Jackson had read. The bank listed here, First National Trust of Caymans, does not exist. However, the template for this document was downloaded from a website called fakedocs.com. The IP address that downloaded it matches the Wi-Fi at 42 Maple Drive. The room fell silent again. But this silence was different. It was heavy. It was confused. 42 Maple Drive, Cole said clearly. That is your address, Elena. Elena took a step back. She looked around the room. No, that's a lie, he's lying. Madison put him up to this. Cole stepped forward again. He picked up the stack of evidence she had brought. You spent weeks forging these, Cole said. You forged her signature, you created fake debts. You bought a burner phone and texted yourself to create a fake affair. You planned to humiliate your sister in front of everyone she loves. He threw the papers down on the table. They scattered across the white tablecloth. You didn't bring a gift, Cole said. You brought a confession. The guests were standing up now. They realized what was happening. The shock was turning into anger. They weren't looking at me with disgust anymore. They were looking at Elena. My mother rushed forward. Elena, is this true? Did you make these? Elena was shaking. She looked cornered. She deserves it, she screamed suddenly. The mask fell off completely. Her face twisted into something ugly and hateful. She's nothing, she's boring and weak, and she doesn't deserve him. I was trying to save you, Cole. She's dragging you down. She is the only reason I'm standing here, Cole said. And you are done. Cole nodded to the lawyer, Mr. Henderson, who stepped forward with a man in a police uniform. Elena Miller, the officer said, I need you to come with us. The sight of the police officer snapped something in Elena. She started to panic. Police, she screeched. For what? It's a wedding, it's a prank, you can't arrest me for a prank. I stood up. My legs felt strong. I wasn't shaking anymore. I walked around the table. I walked past Cole, past the CLS, past the lawyer. I stood right in front of my sister. She looked at me. Her eyes were wide and wet with tears. Real tears this time, tears of fear. Maddie, she whimpered. Maddie, tell them it's just a joke. Please, don't let them take me. I looked at her. I looked at the sister I had worshipped for 20 years. I looked for the person I used to love. But there was no one there. Just a sad, bitter woman who couldn't stand to see me happy. I took the microphone from the stand. My voice was soft, but in the quiet room, it sounded like thunder. You trusted me to be blind, I told her. You thought I was the same little girl who would cry in the corner while you stole my life. You never prepared for me to see. Maddie, please, she begged. She reached for my hand. I pulled my hand away. It's not a prank, Elena, I said. It's fraud, it's identity theft, it's criminal impersonation. And we have all of it. We have your search history. We have your bank records. We have the audio recording of you on the phone last week, planning this whole thing. I pointed to the door. You wanted a show, I said. You wanted everyone to watch me leave in shame, but the only one leaving is you. I looked at the officer. Get her out of here. The officer took Elena's arm. She tried to pull away, but he handcuffed her. The click of the metal cuffs echoed in the room. Mom, Dad, Elena screamed. Do something, she's arresting me. My parents stood there, frozen. My father looked old. He looked at the fake documents on the table, then at his favorite daughter in handcuffs. He didn't move. My mother covered her mouth and sobbed, but she didn't step forward. She finally saw it. She finally saw the monster she had created. The officer led Elena away. She was screaming insults as she was dragged out the double doors. You'll be sorry, Madison. You're nothing without me. Nothing. Then the doors closed. The screaming stopped. The silence in the room was thick. Everyone was looking at me. They were waiting to see if I would collapse. They were waiting for the bride to cry. I looked at Cole. He smiled at me, a real warm smile. He held out his hand. I took it. I turned to the DJ. Play the music, I said. The DJ, looking stunned, quickly hit a button. Soft jazz filled the room. The tension broke. The guests exhaled. People started talking, quietly at first, then louder. They came up to me one by one. They didn't ask questions. They just hugged me. They apologized. They told me I was brave. I saw my parents sitting at their table. They were alone. No one was talking to them. They looked small. I walked over to them. Cole came with me. Madison, my dad said. His voice was rough. We didn't know. You didn't look, I said simply. You never looked. She's your sister, my mom cried. Did you have to arrest her? She tried to send me to prison, Mom, I said. She tried to ruin my life. Yes, I had to. I looked at them both. You can stay and eat, I said. But don't talk to me tonight. I don't want to hear about her. I don't want to hear excuses. Tonight is about me. If you can't handle that, you can leave. My father nodded slowly. He looked down at his plate. We'll stay, he whispered. I turned my back on them. I walked back to the dance floor with my husband. Cole pulled me into his arms. We started to sway to the music. Are you okay? He asked in my ear. I rested my head on his chest. I listened to his heartbeat. It was strong and steady. I lost a sister today, I said. No, Cole said. You lost a parasite. You gained a life. I looked up at him. He was right. The weight was gone. The shadow was gone. For the first time in my life, the room was bright, and I was the only one standing in the center of it. I'm okay, I said, and I meant it. I'm free. The reception ended at midnight. It was strange. Usually, when a wedding ends, there is a feeling of sadness that the party is over. But for us, it felt like the beginning. We said goodbye to the guests. My parents left quietly around 10 p.m. They didn't come to say goodbye to me. I saw them walking to their car, heads down. My mother was holding onto my father's arm for support. For a second, I felt a pang of guilt. But then I looked at the empty table where the gift box had been. The guilt vanished. They chose to enable her for 20 years. They chose their path. Cole drove us to the hotel. We were staying in a suite downtown before leaving for our honeymoon in the morning. The car ride was quiet, but it wasn't an empty silence. It was a comfortable one. Cole held my hand across the center console. When we got to the room, I kicked off my heels. I sat on the edge of the bed. My feet hurt, but my heart felt light. Cole took off his jacket and loosened his tie. He poured 2 glasses of water and handed one to me. You did good today, he said. I didn't do much, I said. You and the team did everything. No, Cole said. He sat next to me. You stood up, you took the microphone, you looked her in the eye. That was the hardest part. The rest was just logistics. I took a sip of water. Do you think she'll go to jail? For a while, Cole said. Fraud is serious. Identity theft is serious. Even if your parents hire a fancy lawyer, she has a record now. She can't hide anymore. And if she ever comes near you again, the restraining order is already filed. I thought about Elena sitting in a cell. She was probably furious. She was probably blaming me. She would never understand that she did this to herself. I paused, searching for the right word. I feel like I can breathe. That's freedom, Cole said. He reached up and unpinned my veil. He set it gently on the nightstand. You know, he said softly. My team, they respect you. Jackson told me tonight that he's never seen someone handle a betrayal like that with so much dignity. You didn't scream. You didn't fight dirty. You just told the truth. Tears pricked my eyes. I always thought I was weak, I whispered. My whole life they told me I was the weak one, the sensitive one. They lied, Cole said, to keep you small. Because they knew if you ever realized how strong you were, you would leave them behind. I realized he was right. My role in the family was to be the punching bag. I was the outlet for their stress. Without me there to take the abuse, they would have to turn on each other. My phone buzzed on the table. It was a text from my mom. Mom, we are home. Elena called from the station. She is hysterical. Please, Madison, drop the charges. For the family, I looked at the screen. The old Madison would have felt guilty. The old Madison would have replied, okay, let's talk. I showed the phone to Cole. He didn't say anything. He just watched me. I typed my reply. Madison. The family you want to save doesn't exist anymore. Do not ask me again. I hit block. Then I went to my contacts. I found Dad. I hit block. I put the phone down. Done? Cole asked. Done, I said. I stood up and walked to the window. I looked out at the city lights. I was a married woman. I had a husband who protected me, who saw me, who loved me. I had a career. I had a life that was entirely my own. I didn't lose a sister today. I didn't lose parents. I removed a tumor. I removed the thing that was making me sick. I turned back to Cole. He was watching me with that steady, calm look I loved so much. Ready for the honeymoon? He asked. I smiled. A real, full smile that reached my eyes. I'm ready for everything, I said. And for the first time in my life, I knew exactly who I was. I wasn't the shadow. I wasn't the victim. I was Madison. And I was free. Thank you for reading my story. It wasn't easy to share, but I know there are so many people out there living in the shadows of toxic family members. If you have ever had a family member who tried to sabotage your happiness and called it love, please know that you are not alone. You are not crazy. And you are not weak. Sometimes, the bravest thing you can do is walk away from the people who share your blood. If this story resonated with you, please hit that subscribe button. Drop a comment below and let me know where you're watching from. Have you ever had to cut off a family member? I want to hear your story, and don't forget to ring the bell so you never miss another true story like this. Stay strong, stay safe, and never let anyone dim your light.